Good morning, Apollo Baptist Church. It is August 31st, and our reading plan for this week is 1 Samuel chapter 23 through chapter 26. And in those chapters, we will be able to see how God is working in the life of David and how King Saul is really a mess. His rebellion and his desire to do things his own way rather than letting God lead him is changing his heart in such a way that he is filled with hatred and jealousy. Back in chapter 17, we were reading about how David killed Goliath. And I won't explain it here. You have read it. If you haven't, go back and read it. It's an amazing event. But young David, too young to be in the military, goes up against this giant that was holding the Israelite army in a paralyzed standoff because of fear. And young David goes up against this giant with nothing more than a sling and a stone. And because of God, he wins this battle. And God renews the hearts of his people, except for Saul. Saul was filled with jealousy. He hated David. He hated the fact that David did something he himself had not done. And so he was obsessed with the idea of killing David when David had done nothing to warrant that, or nothing except good for Saul. That Saul has tried to kill David now several times, and David just simply will not reach out to hurt him back. Well, in chapter 24, we are again face to face with a very similar situation. King Saul learns that David and a few of his men are in the En-Gedi area. En-Gedi was an area just west of the Dead Sea, and the area is just full of, it's the area, I've seen pictures, I've never been there, but it's just pockmarked with caves, just loads and loads of caves. And his men are they find a cave and they're hiding out in there because King Saul and 3,000 of his very best warriors are on his trail and they're out to get him. And so they're in the area, and so David and his men are hiding back in a cave. And well, here's King Saul and his 3,000 men. And well, it happens to everybody. King Saul had to go to the bathroom, and nature was calling, and he didn't want to go to the bathroom in front of all of his men, and so he thought, well, I'll just go to that cave. And you got it. Yeah, that was the cave that David and his men were in. And I'm sure they saw him coming. Oh my goodness. Oh no. Here he comes. They must know we're in here. And so he walks into the cave, and they're probably like, oh. Anyway, they're all hunkered down. And they realize he took off his robe. He's going to go to the bathroom. And now they're relieved. Oh, I didn't say that. Well, anyway, so they tell David, God has brought him into your presence so that you can kill him. And David wouldn't do it, nor would he allow his men to do it. And it says in chapter 24 that David literally resisted them. And the word is he had to tear at them in order to keep them from killing Saul. He wouldn't allow it. David did decide, I'll cut the edge of his robe off. And later I will reveal that I have the edge of his robe, and therefore I could have killed him, but I did not. You can read about it. Oh, I hope you do. But what do you get out of that? David had a chance to kill the king. And he didn't do it. And his men said, God has brought him in here so that you can kill him. Isn't it interesting? They said God has done something, and David said, no, he hasn't. David's attitude was just the opposite. God has brought him in here so that I can prove to him that I respect him. I can prove to him that I honor him. I can prove to him that I'm out to do him good. His men said, God has brought him in here so that you can kill him. Be careful. That is a warning to me, and it needs to be a warning to you. Many times, we are wrong about our interpretation of what God is doing. And we allow our selfishness and our anger to control us. They were wanting to kill Saul. And they said, God is in this. He brought him in here so that you could do it. And David said, no, God has brought him in here so that we can be kind to him and not do it. So, application. I don't know who you have that's not in love with you, or who you have that's not excited about you. I don't know if you have any enemies like David did. But there's some people in your life and in my life that you and I can be kind to and reach out to and show love to. And you know what? That is God's will. And I don't know how he will arrange the setting. This was an amazing arrangement. Don't kid yourself. It was an arrangement that God set up. But God will set up arrangements so that you can be kind and I can be kind and I can show love and you can show love. And let's do it this week. God bless you.